Welcome to the Gentleman's Talk, where the podcast talks about a man's battle with mental health, his personal experiences, and his journey to be a better soul. Hosted by James Dean Littlejohn.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Gentleman's Talk. I've just jumped on a cheeky live to say hello, and something has been talking about, or resonating rather, with me today, and just focusing on the weekend really. Hold on, I'm just going to open my door because it's gone a bit stuffy in here. Apologies. Something that's resonated me quite heavily from the weekend, and something I want to just kind of to talk about, and something that sort of became apparent really with today and how I was dealing with work actually. And it's something I do a lot, and I'm conscious that I do it quite a lot. And I'm trying to undo the way that I deal with this. So what I do is, and I spoke about this in previous podcasts, that how I normally deal with things, I do tend to react quite emotionally. First off, it seems to be my first reaction is an emotional instinct, and this is a very, very, very big negative for me, mainly because I sort of can kind of predict the outcome of most of my occasions because of it, because most of the negativity that I've endured in previous years, most of the way I've reacted to things in previous years has been quite difficult to unpick. And one of the things when you kind of react to things emotionally, especially if you've got a mental health problem, and one of the things I've adapted and the way that I've kind of dealt with things, and I really, really need to grip it, is how I deal with things emotionally. So what I tend to do is, and this has transitioned across to my work, and I want to be a better person just because this does impact everything, and I genuinely don't know how to control it. I've got certain friends around me that are, let's say, relaxed, completely the opposite to me. And some might say actually that is a better management attribute to have, because I find that I tend to get things done because I do think things emotionally. I do take on an emotional kind of aspect to everything in life, which is good in certain aspects. And I've actually got a good friend of mine actually that says it's good in some ways, but actually it is a mighty double-edged sword. And I'm realizing it more and more as I grow and as I adapt through my mental health challenge, and I kind of build myself to be a better person. One of the things that I'm learning is when I react emotionally to things, and I do tend to react emotionally quite quickly, it's always got a negative connotation to it. Now, there is positive aspects to it, and there'll be people around me that have worked for me and worked alongside me. And when I take on an emotional aspect to something, the beauty of having the emotional content is actually the fact that I tend to get things done quite quickly because I tend to instill that emotional aspect into, hey, Billster, how's it going, buddy? In fact, I was just talking about the Billster. He's just joined. I was just talking about, he's the one that actually highlighted it as a double-edged sword for me, which I kind of, I'm learning to adapt. And do you know what? It's only since people like my friend here and other friends that have actually highlighted this issue to me, where I've really trying to actively, the Bill Meister, it says Billster, Bill Meister. Hello, mate. So one of the things that I do, like I said, it's a double-edged sword when you react to things emotionally. And what I tend to learn is, as I've grown in my management style and I've become more of a manager and I kind of integrate myself, I do tend to, the positive to thinking about things emotionally and working as an emotional level, at an emotional level like I do, there is a positive to this. And what tends to happen is I do tend to get things done, because people tend to feel my passion. They tend to understand that I do have the end result as where I want to be. The end goal is in my sights, and people will tend to do things alongside me or for me, depending on what level I'm dealing with. They do tend to do it because they feel my passion, and I articulate that in such a way that I let them know that by going forward and doing this, you will make me happy. We will get the accolade. The accolade will be spread amongst all of us because I never take credit for anyone's work. So the aspect of that emotional, or dealing with that emotional delivery, does have a positive connotation to it, and it did work for me. It worked for me quite a bit. And when I actually reflect back, and I do a lot of reflection, and I think it's so important when you've got a mental health condition to actually reflect, because if I didn't reflect, I never used to do this. And one of the things I didn't do was, by not reflecting, was I never really addressed my problems. I just kind of bumbled my way through, and I was kind of successful to a point. But when I actually reflect back, I was successful at a supervisor level. So I was on the shop floor, I was hard working, I was getting shit done, and, I always had everybody's interest at heart, and I always wanted to deliver the right thing, and I always wanted to make the establishment work. I always wanted to make the organisation work. I always had everyone's best interest at heart. So when you have an emotional delivery of these things, you get a lot out of people by doing that because they feel your passion. One of the things I'm learning in management, and actually receiving, feedback from people that are actually willing to be open and honest with me, which I know is a very difficult thing. You have to, and this isn't being big-headed at all, but you have to be a fairly confident person to be able to effectively, what's the easy way of it, to effectively manage me or effectively deliver me feedback. Because if you don't deliver me feedback in the right way, I will instantly go, fuck off, you've not delivered to me in the right way, so I'm literally not interested. But one of the things I'm finding, and especially with a listener that's actually writing this right now, the Billster, he does have this ability to deliver it in such a way, probably because of his own background, because of the way that he's been nurtured into the management environment himself, and the aspect he's a lot more laid back than me. So he has the ability to deliver things, and because he delivers it in such a way, I'm willing to listen. And I have that with, say, for instance, my other friends. They don't give me as much feedback about my personal stance, but what they do is they do acknowledge when I'm probably thinking things emotionally. They do calm me down in that respective way. And everybody around me will happily work with me and happily work alongside me because they know that I'm a passionate person. And that's the most important thing, I think. Not the most important thing, but one of the biggest important things, sorry, that's not even a word there. It's not even the word. I'm trying to think. One of the most important things to think about when you're delivering something emotionally and getting people on side with you and getting them on board with you, is when they see the passion for the end result, they want to achieve it with you because they can see how much you're invested in it. That might be the smallest of things. That might be the biggest of things. It might be building a fucking house. If I wanted to build a house, I guarantee if I turn around and said people like, guys, I want to build this, let's fucking do it. It's going to result in this, this and this. I would deliver it in such a way that I would bring them on board because they would feel my passion. And that is the positive connotation to deal with things emotionally. However, the double-edged sword comes out and swipes you across the fucking back. And what I'm finding, and as I reflect on my past, as I reached the management side of life, and certainly as I'm trying to progress through management now, and this is probably relatable to a lot of people that are dealing with mental health problems, what you tend to do is, because with mental health, you tend to get very protective. I do get very protective. And if somebody comes at me and says to me something like, like say, for instance, I had that lady that come on and almost directly came at me with my own podcast. So came onto a podcast somewhere that I feel safe, an environment I feel safe in, a passionate process that I enjoy, something that I actually work towards on a daily basis. And I just want to make things, I want to do it for the positive reasons. I'm not doing this for the accolade of being, the host of Gentleman's Talk. I'm not doing it for the accolade of any financial gain. I'm doing this because I genuinely want to help people. And most importantly, that aside, I want to help myself. I want to better myself. And one of the things I've learned through my podcast process is by talking openly about it and knowing that there is people that potentially listen to them, to this, I tend to research things a little bit heavily. I tend to go into it with everything. I tend to go into it with all of my emotion because I want the best out of people and I want the best out of myself. So I think that there's going to be there's a perfect reason to why to do this. So when you come in and say something negative, I do instantly go, well, fuck you, I'm not interested. And that's horrible because I feel genuinely passionate about it. And I know, for instance, I've had a couple of people say, oh, you're a bit fucking wrong there or whatever. You've said something a bit there. Oh, I'm not comfortable with that. And instantly I've gone, no, don't fucking attack me on my podcast. That's how I perceived it. And that's because I think about things emotionally. But when you take the emotional aspect out of this podcast and you actually look at it as, James, just remember, you're doing this to help yourself. You're doing this to help other people. If somebody's giving you feedback, if someone's giving you, whether it's negative or positive, we should all be able to accept negative and positive for growth. And one of the things I should learn to do, and I am learning to do, actively learning to do, is take that feedback on board and go, okay, thank you very much. You are probably right. I'm going to take that on board and I'm going to adjust myself. And one of the things I realized actually with regards to my podcast lately is I didn't receive a lot of feedback at all for the last probably month. Why? I've been an emotional roller coaster. So I don't think I've been given relevant content. Now I'm open to admit that, and I am absolutely standing up and being counted for that because it's my responsibility to deliver things the right way. It's my responsibility to help myself. It's my responsibility to, on this podcast platform, to help other people. So if I'm not delivering the right content, then that's for me to try and understand and unpick. Now, when I stopped receiving feedback from my friends and people stopped saying I'm listening, and stopped engaging with me a little bit, I didn't really listen. I didn't take that as something to look out for. I just fucking plowed on through because I was like, fucking, I know what I'm doing. I'm the man. Rah. And that's kind of where I got to. And do you know what? It was only the last couple of podcasts when I realized I was an emotional roller coaster. I had a fucking really depressing weekend, and I can say depressing because of the content of the weekend. Excuse me. But it was actually the feedback that I received, and one of them is listening to me right now. The feedback that I received was, that's an 8.5 out of 10. And I went, do you know what, mate? I'll fucking take that. Because I know I have nowhere near been an 8. I've probably been at best a 3, if I'm being honest, a 3 in what I've been delivering. Because I haven't been delivering the right content. And whereas before I was delivering on-point content to do with bettering myself, I then turned it into a platform where I just wanted to fucking bitch and moan and go, I'm struggling, rah, 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 don't like fucking people. And that's what it turned into. It turned into 10, 15 podcasts where I was just going, fucking everybody look at me. And that's not what this is about. But that's because I think about things emotionally. I get passionate about things. I get emotionally involved in things. And for instance, one of the things I did today, I emotionally got involved in work, and I shouldn't have done. And luckily I didn't react how I would have normally reacted. And I'll go back to a couple of other things in a minute with regards to the double-edged sword of this. And I sat there and I was really pissed off with work and the way that a topic had been dealt with. I felt like I'd been chucked under the bus. Everybody was just ignoring this topic and just fucking chinning it off and removing invites to fucking meetings and all this sort of stuff. But old Muggins here, because I'm new in my role, just went, yeah, I'll accept that. I'll accept that. I'll accept that. And I was going to these meetings, and the last 3 meetings I got fucking berated because nobody had turned up for the best part of a year. I'm coming on here and I'm going, fucking, here we go. I'm here to help. People are giving me fucking, jobs and stuff like that. And I'm going, yeah, I'll do that. And then looking into it and actually doing more than I should be doing and doing those other people's jobs. So I got a bit emotional about that. And I started drafting an email, and I was sat on this fucking meeting at 4 o'clock, sweating my testicles off. sweat dripping down my back because I couldn't have the fan on because I couldn't hear them. So I was literally like fully like wasn't quite there. And I was drafting an email going, fuck is going on here? I'm getting berated. And then my boss turned around to me and messaged me and said, are you still on the meeting? And I'd been on an hour and a half. And I went, yeah, it's an absolute shit show because I saw him online. It's an absolute shit show. They're absolutely not attacking me, but they want answers and I can't deliver them. So he turned around to me and said, oh, sounds fun. At least you're on it. I'll see you on Wednesday. And then I was like, you motherfucker. No help at all, no support. This isn't even my role. I shouldn't even be fucking doing it. But I was doing it, and I was like, right, okay. So I drafted this email, and then what I did was I drafted the email, but I walked away. And this is where I'm learning, okay? This is where I'm learning. I walked away from the email 3 times. 3 times I changed that email to the point where I just removed all emotion. And all I said was, I want fucking answers. It's over to you. I can't provide the answers. I've just arrived in this team. Can you provide answers? You've been acknowledging this for the last year. Someone needs to be held to account to why this hasn't been done. I'm getting emotionally invested, and it's not my fucking job. So I just went, okay, let's remove all the emotion, because my emotion was involved going, I don't think I should be doing this. This isn't my fucking job. I'm only looking after it. I was almost holding the account team, the tech team to account going, this bastard's been on it for a year. I was naming names, and that's not how you build friendships and relationships, is it? Do you know what I mean? So I held back and went, no, it's not my place to do this. I'm not the manager of these people. I just need to highlight the issue and move on. So that was just a way of learning. And when I say about the double-edged sword, and I sort of get involved in the double-edged sword of being emotionally involved in things, what I did do was in my last job, when I got to manager and I was managing people, I started getting to the point where I realized when you get to management level, and I'm not saying this in a big-headed way, but when you start getting to that level and you start actually visualizing things around you, you actually start realizing how many fucking people are in jobs they either can't do, they don't want to do, or they're just fucking lazy. And when you get to a manager, you have to be able to remove yourself emotionally and not get involved in other people's business. And when you're at supervisor level, it's the sort of lower level, if you like, on the shop floor, having a bit of banter, having a bit of fun, you can kind of bumble your way through, and everybody wants to work for you because you're on the shop floor being committed. What I've learned is to take my emotional aspect of how I deal with things into a management aspect. I can be quite cutting. And one of the downside to me is, and again, not being in a big-headed sense, but I really, really like English. And by English, I don't mean it as like, I don't like fucking Spanish and I don't like fucking all the other languages. What I mean is I know how to articulate myself in such a way that I will present myself as in I am a fucking force to be reckoned with. And what that does is it just instantly alienates yourself. And one thing I did was just before I left my old company, this is when I knew I had to leave because I was getting emotionally involved and I knew I was in the wrong place. And it's a little bit like, I'll come on to my new role in a minute just to show you, how I have to deal with things. But I was offered some guidance from a HSE advisor who said to me, we were supposed to have, I'll give you a little bit of background, we were supposed to wear full face masks, and we should have had because of the paint content we were dealing with as a painter and finisher, we had to have annual breathing checks, so to make sure that we weren't getting industrial asthma and all this sort of stuff. Anyway, I didn't have one for 2 years, and I was told by the HSE advisor, don't worry about it, you're on these filters, and you've had this mask, it gives you a fit factor of fucking X, Y, Z. And I was kind of like, okay, I understand that. But for the last 21 fucking years, you've been telling me every single year I must have a fucking health check. Now you're telling me and bear in mind, it was during COVID, so they weren't doing face-to-face breathing stuff. But I was kind of, I questioned that. But the way I questioned it with emotion. So rather than just go, I'm not comfortable with what advice you're giving. Can you give me a face-to-face meeting, or can we have a Teams meeting so you can just actively discuss this with me and present it in a better way that will help me understand? That is the way I should have dealt with it. What I did do was I attacked this from an emotional aspect, and I absolutely fucking berated him. And what I did was I added in everybody. So everybody, but bear in mind, I was in the right. I don't do things unless I'm in the right. But there's a way to present it. There's a way to articulate yourself. And I didn't do that. And that's what I think the negative connotation to emotionally dealing with things is you tend to just attack things. So I went to him and went, and afterwards, when I left the company, he did, just to give you a little bit of afterthought, a bit of feedback on that, he did come back to me and say, you're going to be very successful, James. I wish you all the best. And he said, I just want to let you know, you were absolutely right in the way that the way that you'd asked those questions, and you asked them at a professional level. The problem was you involved everybody. So everybody then can question me. Everybody was going to question the outcome. You then created a bigger problem by doing that, rather than just presenting the issue to me, and I would have explained to you what would have happened. And that is how you deal with things from a professional manner. You dealt with it emotionally. So that was feedback I gave. At the time, I hadn't helped myself. We are talking best part of 18 months ago. So I wasn't really in the right frame of mind to better myself at the time. So I didn't really listen. I just kind of went, and all I got from that was, I'm fucking right. That is mental health. You just go, I'm right. I don't fucking care. But you can't do that. You can't go through life thinking like that, because people will just fucking hate you. And I don't like being hated. I'm not a horrible person. I certainly don't do things to be a horrible person, but at the same time I do want the right answers, and I didn't feel I was getting the right answers. I felt that the answer I got was very watered down, and it was very wishy-washy, in the sense that they were just trying to cover their own arse but not offer me the right feedback. And the email I sent had such big content. I was quoting APs, their publications. I did the works because I do things properly. However, not properly and not thoroughly and not professionally. That's the key word there. I didn't do it professionally. And that's the problem, I think, with emotional, dealing with things emotionally. You don't do things professionally because you don't have the professional aspect in your mind. And if you're strong-willed like me, and you're, without, again, sounding big-headed, and there's a lot of, I'm not big-headed, but I am being big-headed in this. When you're quite knowledgeable in your field, you tend to be able to come at people with the right questions that deserve a right answer. But when you fill it with emotion, you completely undo all of your knowledge, because you just become a prick. And that is the problem that you deal with at management, or any level, actually, not even management level. And I do that with text messages. I do that with voice messages. And that's what I'm trying to learn. And this is about a journey. This is growing as a person. Rome wasn't built in a day, but they were laying bricks every hour. This is some fucking shit thing that someone told me the other day, but it actually pissed me off, but it works. Okay, it works. And it is true, though. When you look at it, the metaphor in that, I can't better myself by tomorrow. There's no way. If you said to me, James, I want you 100% by tomorrow, it's not achievable. However, I am making inward roads to bettering myself, but I can't do it alone. I can't do it on my own. I need people to offer me feedback. I need people to be strong enough to offer me feedback in the right way, not offer me in a way that I'm going to emotionally react, because that is one of my coping mechanisms. It's a very defensive mechanism, and it's not, being defensive is not a very nice attribute. I can absolutely stand up and say it's not a nice attribute. And sometimes, in fact, most of the times, you can undo all of your hard work, all of your passion, all of your resilience can all be undone by just a few words of dealing with something emotionally. And I get that a lot. A lot of people will say to me, I guarantee there'll be people out there that go, James is a fucking lovely guy, and I'm not being big-headed. James is a lovely guy, I'll do anything for you, but fuck me, he can be a prick. And I'll accept that. For years I went along saying I'm like Marmite. You either love me or you hate me. There is no middle ground with me. You either think I'm a complete and utter prick, or you don't think I'm a complete and utter prick, but you kind of know there's an element there, but you're willing to accept it. That's kind of what it is. So I don't want to go through life like that. So I want to better myself. So I'm learning to remove the emotional aspect. And this is something that the podcast gives me. This is something my very select friends give me. They give me open and honest feedback, or they help bring me down to a level where I don't react emotionally. And that was clearly prevalent in my last job when I was a chef advisor at my local unit. And I used to deal with things passionately because I was passionate about health and safety. But the thing is, I genuinely wanted people to be safe. And when someone came up to me and went, in fact, I'll give you a very recent example. So I went to a site last week, and I noticed something that was risk to life, we'll call it. So it was risk to life. It was a ceiling that was falling down. I noticed it on a site visit, and I just went to myself, right, okay, fucking, stop all activities. You can't do this. It's fucking risk to life. That ceiling can come down at any point. So the deputy head of the building came up to me and introduced himself, and I said hi. And then I was introduced and said, this is the guy that's found this risk to life and has ceased activities, doesn't want you to go down there because it's unsafe. He turned around to me and said, that's fucking bullshit. It was fine yesterday and it was fine the day before. Don't fucking come up to me with that health and safety bullshit. So I naturally went, okay, the heckles have come up now. You've got the fucking lion. I'm going to fucking educate you. I don't care a fuck who you are. And he was very senior to me. I don't give a fuck who you are. I'm going to fucking educate you. Don't tell me that health and safety is bullshit. I'm trying to fucking save you. So as he walked away, I said, don't fucking walk. I said, I'll walk away from you. And I said, don't walk away from me. And my mate went, he just fucking did. And luckily the door shut behind him, but I was seething with emotion because I was like, what the fuck are you not getting with this? Lo and behold, the ceiling fell down that night. And it wasn't me, before anyone says you fucking pulled it down before you left. It wasn't me, but the ceiling repair had actually fallen down that night. So that was kind of the context of me dealing with something emotionally, but it hasn't sat right with me to the point where I wanted to highlight it. I was like, I'm going to fucking address him. But I hadn't let it go. I had not let this go. And even this morning, I came into work and there was emails bouncing around behind me with regards to this, but I wasn't involved in it. Somebody went to one of my other colleagues because they were friends, so it was an easy pick. I wasn't available straight away. So I took serious offence to that. I went, well, what the fuck? Why are you not coming to me? I found it. I'm dealing with this fucking problem. So I actually then started fucking ostracising myself from my own team because I wanted to be fucking involved in it. I was like, but you don't need to get involved. We're a fucking team. They've dealt with it. Move on. And straight away, I took emotional offence to that, to the point where this morning at 10 o'clock, they said to me, fucking hell, have you picked your teddies up, mate? They're out the cot. And what I did was I switched off my computer and I fucking walked away. And then I came back and I went, what a fucking dickhead I am. I'd already done the damage and I had to then undo that damage. And one of the things I'm learning now is it's actually harder to undo the damage than it is just to not instigate the damage in the first place. So, but I can't do this on my own. This is something I need to learn. This is something I need to adapt because the problem is I've dealt with things on my own most of my fucking life, which is why I'm quite successful in what I do. Although I have other issues with staying focused on projects and stuff like that. If you give me a project, I will do it to the best of my fucking ability. It will be grade A because I want to impress you and I want to make it nice. I'll do that. However, I get passionately involved, and if I don't get the right reactions at the end, it upsets me. So this is why I don't do a lot of projects, because I'm concerned that I'm not going to get the reaction. One of the things I said was I painted a load of shit. I almost had an attic full of all these custom fucking jobs that I'd done, custom wakeboards and custom snowboards, custom helmets. In fact, I've got them in my current studio workplace that I'm talking to you right now. And everyone said to me, why don't you sell them? And I said, no, because nobody will appreciate the passion and love that I put into them. And that is how invested I get. It's really hard for me to let go. If you come up to me and say to me, can you paint this for me and do this style? I'll go, no, I want to do it my way. That's how emotionally, because I know my way will impress you. If I do it to your prerequisite, it will impress you still because it's what you want, but it won't be what I want to do. So, and that's the ADHD aspect I'm learning, actually. Believe it or not, that's the ADHD, because I get very involved in things. also, if I don't have an interest in things, I just fucking sack it off. And there's probably someone on this call that's smiling away at me right now, because that is what I'm like. If I don't feel that I'm invested in something, if I don't feel I'm going to get some sort of return out of it, some sort of learning aspect or some sort of emotional return, I can't get invested in it. And like I said, this is something that I've recently been diagnosed with, so I'm learning to adapt and overcome that. But it's more about raising awareness for me in that aspect, and this is why I do this. And this is why when you look around and you see places and you see my fucking back garden and things that I'm involved in, I do them fucking fantastically because I'm emotionally invested. If I'm not initially emotionally invested, I'll sit on it and sit on it and sit on it until the time is right for me. I actually have a project that I'm doing for a couple of friends, and I'm not quite emotionally invested yet, so I'm finding it difficult to get over the start line. But that's something I'm learning to deal with, and that's an emotional aspect, and that's what that's basically the building of it. The building block to my problem is the emotional aspect, and I do tend to react quite quickly. And as you probably heard in a couple of podcasts ago, and that's probably the most relatable thing for you to listen to. When she came on, I felt she attacked me. I felt a personal attack. I think there was an element I was in the right, and I will say that because I will caveat that. I think that was the wrong place for us to discuss. I think that there was only hidden backgrounds between both of us. But I took that emotionally to the point where I actually went on and did a further 2 live podcasts where I just fucking went, shut your mouth, basically. You're nothing to fucking do with this. This is a man zone. Move on. But that's not the way I should have done. I shouldn't have articulated that. I should have just gone, okay, learning curve there, James. Don't engage with these people like that. Wait to get a little bit of feedback from them. When you get feedback from them, acknowledge that. And if you don't feel that the conversation is going your way, stop the conversation and just move on. And just go, thank you very much for your time, like she did in the end. Thank you very much for your time. I feel like I've upset you. Yes, you did, because I reacted emotionally. So I should have done the same. I should have went, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate your input. Let's move on. But that's things that we've got to learn. And the problem is when you've had coping mechanisms for a long time, and I have developed some really negative coping mechanisms to deal with my mental health, isolating myself, reacting emotionally, anxiety builds up, which has never happened to me before. And it's in an abundance, really. As I try to push myself and I try to push my boundaries, I'm finding that I'm now fighting another element, which is the anxiety aspect. You know, I developed this body complex, which I shouldn't have really, because who cares about what I fucking look like? But I do. And I worry about what people think about me all the time. And with that in the background, if you can imagine, I'd love to be like some of my friends where they just sit there and they don't worry about these things. They just sort of enjoy life. I don't. I genuinely worry about what people think about me. I worry that I've let someone down. I worry that even sending that email out, as soon as I sent it, I knew I should have sent it. But at the same time, I didn't want to send it because I know there's going to be repercussions from it. And it's the same as, say, for instance, my current supervisor, you know, there's elements that he upsets me, but I just now don't engage with him because I know I'm going to react emotionally to that. And I did this morning. I reacted emotionally to an aspect of his name being dropped in, and I shouldn't be like that. But that's because I don't feel his competence is at the right level. So I don't feel I'm being led correctly. So is that my place? I don't think it is. I don't think it's my place to discover that. It doesn't affect me if he's not leading me correctly. I should just take the inspiration to just lead myself correctly. And as long as I'm doing my job correctly, does it matter what everyone else is doing? No, it doesn't. So that's the element and aspect that I'm learning to adapt to. I'm learning to overcome. And it's not fucking easy. I'm not even going to lie to you. I'm not even going to offer you some sort of stretch in the imagination that it is easy. And it's not. I mean, you know, even this weekend was fucking stupidly tough for me. But I had the support network there, and I didn't utilise the support network that I've had and I've nurtured and I've instilled. You know, there's a lesson learned there. And if you're not learning from your lessons, then, as I said, you're not moving forward. But it does involve an element or an aspect of people helping me along the way, because it's very easy for me to lead myself. I can lead myself as far as the fucking eyes can see. I can carry on going. I will boulder through as many fucking people as it needs. I don't care about the fucking wake I create. As long as I get to the point where I'm successful and I'm passionate about what I do and I enjoy what I do. And I will always caveat that with the fact that I will never do it alone, in the aspect that I will never openly push people aside. I'll always work collaboratively. I'll always work as a team, and I'm always inclusive. Abso-fucking-lutely. If I have somebody that doesn't show me an element of those three parts, I will push them aside. I will shove them a fucking side. I'm going, absolutely fucking not. And that's probably a negative to being passionate about what you do. In fact, it's not probably, it is a negative, because you're willing to go, do you know what? You're not inclusive. You're not collaborative. Fucking get out my way. We're going to go along. And 9 times out of 10, I'm quite powerful in how I deliver my context. So I will almost get to the point where I'll go, I don't like him, her, whatever. So now you don't like him, her, or whatever, because of this. And that's a manipulative trait that you shouldn't have. And that's only really been discovered by me recently. And straight away I've addressed that. I don't want to be that person, because that's toxic leadership. That's toxic environment. That's fucking horrible. And what I'm showing you here, being open and honest about my own toxicity, because I have to be, because it's me that's toxic sometimes. Although I can be passionate, an element of this conversation has just been a small snippet that I'm passionate, I've got drive, I've got enthusiasm, but a lot of my emotional connotations and a lot of my problems result in toxicness, that toxicity. And that's what I'm trying to remove. I'm trying to remove the element of not engaging with my friends when I'm feeling low, because why would I do that? They're there to listen to me, they're there to support me. I'm trying to remove that actively. As of this morning, remove that. I'm actively trying to re-engage with my podcasts on a proper platform and remove the emotional aspect away from my podcasts, and actually get back to where it started 6 months ago, where I was set out to help people, not use it as a platform to bitch and moan, because that's not, there's nothing gained in that at all. So that's why I'm resetting myself. And I think that one of the biggest parts with mental health is acknowledging you've done something wrong, whether that be through feedback or through reflection time. And most of my negativity has been addressed through me reflecting. And I do reflect quite heavily. I have to reflect quite heavily to move forward. But it's been bolstered with having very good friends around me that offer me the advice that I need. I still need to nurture one of my friends, which is Kieran, because he's very, very polite, and he's been there 28 years. So he's seen me through the changes. He's seen me through the elements of where I've been on my highest of highs and where I've been on my lowest of lows. He's seen all of the aspects of those. But because he's kind of a very supportive friend, he's not willing to offer me any negativity, because he doesn't want to see me sad. However, I need that negativity aspect, because I need to grow, to be a better person, to go back to where I was 10 years ago, when I was happy-go-lucky, having a good time and having adventures and fucking no anxiety, no body dysmorphia, none of those things. None of that was there 10 years ago. And it's just manifested through mental health onwards and onwards and onwards, to the point where I was struck this weekend. I thought I'd got to a better place. And there I was, making stupid decisions. So I haven't got to the better place. If anything, I'm still actively learning. If anything, I'm slightly getting worse in some aspects. So I need to address them, bring them forward. And that's maybe what you need to do. Trying to caveat this story into what you need to do. Maybe that's what you need to do. Maybe you are being this person. Maybe you are being like me, very emotional, driven. It can have positive connotations to it. It can be positive, used in the right ways. Use positivity in the right context. Being emotional can be good. And I'm not talking about crying. I'm not talking about hugs and kisses. I'm talking about reacting emotionally, as in taking offense to things, taking things personally. It's not meant to you personally. You're just a job role. I'm just a job role. That's all I am. I'm just an organisation number. That's all I am. That's all I ever have been. Through all of my different employment through the RAF, I was just a staff number. Serco, I was a staff number. Ministry of Defence, I'm a staff number. That's all I am, just a staff number. Once you go away, that staff number gets binned and it goes on to someone else. So why take things personally? Why do I take things personally? Because I have an element of passion. I do love, when I get into something, I genuinely do it because I love it. I've now discovered recently, if I don't love something, don't do what I did in my last job where I just fucking sat there and endured it for Serco for 9 fucking years. I just sat there and went, and I had some good times. I had some fantastic times. But the last 3 years were awful because I just should have left. But I didn't. I sat there in hope that it was going to change. And it didn't change because who the hell's going to change for me? Nobody. I have to make that change myself. Just like I need to address the fact that I deal with things emotionally. Just like I need to address the fact that I don't look at my friends for advice. And but it all works both ways. It absolutely works both ways. Deliver the right feedback to me and I will address it. There is a way. We all have different characteristics, don't we? I know for a fact that I could go up to my friend Kieran and go, you know what, you're being a fucking prick, mate. Sort yourself out. But I would say it in such a way that it wouldn't be, you're being a fucking prick, mate. It would be, dude, calm down, mate. You know what I mean? And I would deliver it in such a way. We have to deliver things to the right characteristic. And that is really important. And one of the things one of the things I have the ability to do is that. And it was always, my friend always used to say to me when we worked together for like 4 or 5 years, he always used to say to me, how the fuck do you get away with talking to people like you do? And I go, because I don't say it in such a tone that it's derogatory or it's negative. I just say it in such a way that I get my point across, but it makes them think about it. And that's what I do. The problem is there's a really, really, really fine line, and I've overstepped that line lately with how you deliver that. And I've got to the point where I don't deliver it. And the one thing that I've learned in mental health is the fact that you can step over that line very, very easily. And if you're like me, I teeter on the line of life. You know, if there's a trampoline in front of a line, I'm going to jump on the trampoline until I'm fucking ready to jump on over. But when I jump on over, it's fucking over. It's not a tiptoe over. It's not a little fucking tippy toe into the next area. It's a fucking, here I am. I'm ready and I'm ready to go. And that just needs to be dialed back again, so I can be the fun, friendly person that I was and deliver it in the right context. Normally you get me in the right context when I've had a couple of beers because I feel natural and my own self. I don't tend to take things personally when I've had a few beers. I tend to go, let's have a fucking good time. It's almost like that's the real me when I can relax around friends over a couple of beers. That is normally the real me. Once you get to know me, and it is a case of getting to know me. But when you get to know me, I am a friend for life. I'm a colleague for life. I'm a friend for life. Until you hurt me, and then when you hurt me, that's it. You're in the dustbin, move along. I can cut ties quite easily because I don't like being hurt, because being hurt, no one likes being hurt. But once you've got me as a friend, you are a genuine friend for life. So it comes with a lot of positives, but it does come with negatives. But you need to be that person, that strength. And maybe you're the friend that is listening to this, that is able to offer that to people. Maybe you can offer that to your other friend and go, fucking dude, just fucking calm down, mate. Or, yeah, you know, one of the things I used to do in my last job was if I ever felt passionately about something, and I normally know when I do, I'll write an email, and I used to send it to my dad, and I used to go, Dad, you know, how does this fucking read? And he always used to come back to me with, fucking hell, son, are you putting him on the chopping block? Are you literally ready to kill him? And I'd be like, no. And it'd be fucking such a detailed synopsis of how I'm gonna fucking kill you if you don't do something, or not figuratively speaking. But he used to dial it back down, and then I would get it, and I'd be like, fucking hell, mate, you took out 90% of that. And I reflect back to when I was a site manager, and I remember my boss used to say to me, James, can you send me your emails and I'll help you out? So I would write an email and he'd go, James, I've removed fucking 60% of that, mate, because that was emotion. And I never learned because I never had someone to guide me, because where I've got to now, I haven't been taught by anybody how to be a manager. I haven't been taught how to be a painter. I haven't been taught how to do these jobs. No one's taught me health and safety. I've learned health and safety my fucking self. I've read books. I've done level 6 in 8 months, which is a 3-year fucking project because I just fucking get invested. And I've done it in 8 months. Now, even the fucking company went, mate, you've done it in 8 months. Wow. And I'm like, yeah, I've completed it to distinction level because that's how invested I get in something. But when you learn things along the way and you don't have anyone to reset you and write you on the right path, you're open to taking on bad habits. You need someone to guide you through life. And it's very much like that. That's very much what I am like. I need guiding to an aspect. I'm a strong character, but I still need to be put back in my box from time to time. And I was put back in my box earlier on today, and I said to my mate, thanks for putting me back in my box. He went, don't worry, mate, that I'm sure there's a time when I'm going to need my hat putting back on, and, you know, you'll be there to put the hat back on. So he's like, I can see you're just a bit too passionate about that fucking one job. And instantly he went, you're into the weeds of things. You shouldn't be here, mate. You're way too invested. You need to fucking back off. And he went around the back doors of doing that and going to the site manager and going, just tell him to fucking kind of back off. This isn't our remit. I don't want to do it in such a way that I'm going to effectively tell him because I know he's going to get a bit passionate about this. So he did it the right way. And then afterwards we spoke about it open and honest. And I said, look, I'm open and honest. It's the only way to be in life. And I haven't been through 90% of my fucking life. I've just gone fucking, I'll do whatever I do. I'll fucking lie my way through to get fucking shit done, whatever. But now the only way forward is being open and honest. And I want that feedback to me and being open and honest in the right manner. In the right manner is the most important way to deliver it. And that is the most important thing to do. And I think that for me, certainly when you get to know me and you deliver that in such a way, you create a bond, you create a friendship, you create a relationship in terms of your work environment. You create almost like it's an impenetrable fortress because you know for a fact that you're being looked after. So if I know I'm being looked after, then I will look after you to the fucking cow girl. I will take a fucking bullet for you. But I've got to feel that support. I've got to feel that passion back. And I've got to be able to trust you to be able to deliver things the right way. And that's where I'll learn and adapt. There's no point in trying to go through fucking life with mental health problems on your own. I've done it. I've been there. I've got that fucking t-shirt. I've been that t-shirt. And now I've got a subscription for that t-shirt. So it's not worth it. You get nothing out of it apart from negativity. And eventually you'll get to the point, and I did reflect a little bit earlier on last week thinking, is it me that's dropped my friendship group down, or have they dropped me because they just think I'm too much, and maybe I did get a bit too much? And that's where I need to realign. I need to reshape the way that I think about things. I do always have everyone's best interests at heart, but I don't always get it right. And you need to be that shoulder. You need to be that little fairy on the shoulder that guides people. And I'm very good at doing it to other people. I absolutely love nurturing people. I love progressing them. I love feeding them with the information that I've learned to make their life easier. And I get so much out of nurturing people and training people. It was one of the biggest aspects that I absolutely loved, was talking to people about something I'm passionate about. And it's like, if you spoke to me about painting, for instance, and spraying, how did you do that? I will tell you right down to the fucking T on how I did it so that you can physically walk away and do it yourself. I have no problems with that. You'll never do it to my fucking level because I'm a big-headed twat. But I would get to the point where you can almost do it, and I would nurture you. And one of the things I had was I had a colleague of mine in my previous role that openly said to me, I want to be trained by you. And I went, okay, are you sure? Because I'm quite robust and I'm quite relentless. He said, no, I can see that, but I know that I'll get the best out of you, and I know I will be the best. And I went, that's fine. And I took the positives out of that, because he knows that everything, he knew at the time that everything I do with passion and love, but I don't always get it right. And I've transitioned away from the shop floor environment, and I'm into that management environment, and I'm not getting things right at the moment. I'm not, because I do think things with emotion, because I get passionate about that. But all that tends to do, by the look of things, is ostracize yourself. It just tends to push people aside. You can see the potential in me, but at the same time, the lion needs taming a little bit, and that's where I rely, and I rely heavily on friends. And I think that if anyone out there is listening with a mental health problem or mental health condition, it's important that you nurture the right people that you can trust to give you that feedback, to give you that positivity and negativity to help you grow. Because if you do what I've done for the last 10 years and you've just endured it for 10 fucking years and plodded on and think you're the fucking bee's knees, yes, you get the results that the fucking organization wants, normally at your own emotional fucking distress, because I drove myself into the ground to keep fucking constantly performing like a monkey. And that's not a very healthy way to do things. So you need to nurture the right environment around you. My mouth's a bit dry, so I'm not going to talk much longer. But at the same time, it's just acknowledging that. It's just addressing that. It's being a supportive network. And at the same time, having the confidence to accept. For me, and personally, I think if you've got a mental health problem, you need to build your confidence to be able to accept the negatives as well as the positives. I think we call it 180 reporting now, which is a fucking difficult thing to accept. And I know for a fact, if I asked any of my friends to 180 report on me, I would have to do it in a safe environment because and I would have to do it face to face, because I would need to see the emotion in the face to really understand where they're coming from. And it is difficult to accept that, but very, very, very rewarding, because you will be a better manager, better leader, better person if you're willing to accept the negatives. But at the same time, it's just as important with anyone with mental health to provide the positives. Because one of the things, like I said, I alluded to earlier on, was, the feedback had been laxed on my podcasts of the last month. Rightly so, absolutely rightly so. But because I didn't see negative feedback or positive feedback, you go into a tangent. You just go off thinking you're doing things, everything's being done right. No one's telling me I'm bad. No one's telling me I'm good. I'm just going to keep going until either I realize or somebody does tell me, and it's normally results in somebody telling me in a really fucking horrible way. So we need to all work together as a team to develop the right environment, develop the right personality. We all go off track, and especially if you've had a mental health condition, you're not normally, in fact, you're not the person you were. I'm certainly not the person I was 10 years ago. Absolutely not. Is that a positive? Possibly, because I was a bit fast and loose. Is it a negative? Yes, because I deal with things differently. I've developed really negative coping mechanisms that I need to address, i.e. shutting myself away, i.e. not engaging with my friends, or dealing with things emotionally, or attacking people verbally. These are all the negatives that I've developed as a self-protection, because I don't want to be hurt. I don't want to be let down. So I just go, do you know what? If I don't go to this event, I can't be hurt. If I don't invite people, I can't be let down. It's one of those things. It's one of those situations, but you can't live life like that. You have to take the challenge. You have to accept the feedback. You have to take the next step. Otherwise, you're not going anywhere, and you're just going to sit there and wish your life away. And then you're going to get to the end result of your life and go, what did I achieve there? Well, at 30, I had a fucking car crash. My third car crash, and then basically what I did was just wallowed in self-pity for the next fucking 40 years and blamed everyone else for my mistakes, completely and utterly fucking berated people along the road. Oh, and by the way, I'm sat in a old person's home with pissy pants on my own with no one around me. Do you want to do that? I absolutely fucking don't want to do that. But I can't do that on my own, just like nobody with a mental health condition can do it on their own. They have to be supported. You have to be the person that is going to support them. And if you're listening to this as a friend, or you're listening to this as someone with mental health problems, maybe this has given you that little insight into how to move yourself forward, how to develop, maybe inwardly look at yourself. Self-reflection is a very important healer. It gives you the ability to fully reflect on yourself and make the right moves to progress forward. So I'll leave it there. And just knock it on the head because it's getting late and I'm sat down for all day in the same seat. But thank you very much for listening. Thank you, Bilster, for joining me. I hope I've been entertaining. Maybe I've given you a little bit of food for thought. Probably receive a message after this saying you piece of shit. But hopefully I'm bettering myself. Hopefully I'm coming across in a better way. Certainly the way I should have been a month ago, or where I've been before. Hopefully I'm coming across a little bit more informative. I certainly feel more positive. I don't know why. I don't really know why I feel positive. I just feel positive in the sense that I'm actively learning from my mistakes, and I think that that's the key part for me. I'm actively learning from my mistakes. I'm not a hero, and I don't get things right every fucking day. I'm human at the end of the day, and when you have my style of personality, it takes a lot to break down the barriers to get into my soft, squidgy bits and get through that armor-plated exterior that I've put up for the last 10 years. But it's certainly, for me, it's worth picking at the armor to get through, because I'm a better person and I'm a more supportive person. So yeah, thank you for listening, Bilster. I appreciate it, and I absolutely look forward to talking to you all again soon. And hopefully, with the Bilster is on at the moment, I'll get a little cheeky live podcast in this week. Always